Hello beautiful people, it's your girl Prettychoice and you're welcome to my channel. How are you all doing? I hope you all are doing well. If you're my old and returning subscriber, thank you for watching me. Thank you for supporting me. Today is your first time you come across my video, you're highly welcome. Kindly click the red button down below and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell whenever I post a new video. You will be notified. So guys, in today's video, we're going to be talking about this man. He made a video on TikTok saying that why is it that white American women choose their race over their gender? Like, I came across this video, I was like, really? Is that really happening? So guys, I will leave you guys to decide on this. So guys, on this one, I think it might be true or it might not. So I don't know. So I will just leave you guys to decide on this. And I will review more details about this video. So I will just leave you guys to enjoy the show. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Keep watching me. Keep supporting your girl. Without further review, I will see you all in my next one. Bye.
Hey, please stitch us and explain to me why white American women choose their race over their gender. I'm looking at the midterm results and I'm utterly baffled by the insane proportion of American white women that vote Republican. I genuinely don't understand it. It's like voting against your best interests, voting against your own bodily autonomy, voting for patriarchal bullshit. Religious extremism, Christian nationalism, just general. I'm baffled. I'm honestly baffled why you would not side with your sisters as opposed to your class. Is it just that you're so fucking comfortable? You're so comfortable that the rest of the world just doesn't impinge on your life, or that perhaps you just, I can't imagine you don't care, but maybe you just don't know. Maybe there's a sort of ignorance about what's going on in the rest of America. Maybe the white suburbs have become so fucking cozy and safe and comfortable that you think all of life is like that. Or is it just that you think, well, bodily autonomy issues are never going to affect me. I've had my children. I'm not going to be raped or be the victim of incest or have another ectopic pregnancy or a miscarriage that might get me in front of the justice system or that disproportionately affects my sisters who are black, indigenous, or other people of color. Is it? Please explain this to me. I honestly, I'm utterly baffled. Hey, please stitch us and explain to me why white American women.
Well, I like to think of myself as the Margaret Mead of white people. And the belief is, and it's a mythology, that if they could just get rid of the people who've made these systems that are not benefiting them out of the way, that good Christian white businessmen will save them. And they too will prosper. And they will vote vote over everything else to see to it that they make more money, even when they're voting against their best interest. I mean, they have no idea how anything works. So they think that it's the libtards that have created all this. And if they could just get rid of it, they're going to prosper and they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to live the American dream. And unfortunately, their wives go along with it even when they know that it's going, because they believe that that's more important even than their own rights as humans. That's what I've observed. Yeah.
Why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Internalized misogyny. Deep, conditioned, internalized misogyny. I think it's less to do with race and more about that internalized misogyny. It's right.
Why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Also, I want to add more to this because I think this is really an important thing for us to be talking about, because we've got more elections coming forward and this insanity is not going to end, and we have to figure out what it is that's driving people. The fact that race isn't an issue for so many voters in this country, so it doesn't come into play, is absolutely, what you said was absolutely 100% correct. They are comfortable. People are just, white people are just comfortable, so they don't really need to think about that kind of thing, They don't need to waste their time and their energy with empathy, which makes me ill. But yeah, it's there for sure. Also, there's one more thing that we need to talk about, and I know nobody wants to. Everybody just wants it to go away, and it's not going to go away, is QAnon conspiracy theories. And a lot of people got sucked into that BS. A lot of them. A lot of white girls. A lot of white girls. Because QAnon and the conspiracy theories started to drip into and kind of the pipeline, I guess they call it a pipeline, between healthcare, between holistic healthcare and, anti-vax movement. And then it turned into the anti-COVID. COVID is a hoax. And then the floodgates of conspiracy theories opened up from there. And a lot of girls got sucked into that. A lot of them did. This, anti-vaxxer, COVID's a hoax. They call schools Rockefeller indoctrination camps. They actually call schools Rockefeller indoctrination camps. They've got their little crystals and they're all into healing and angel numbers and they call themselves star seeds. And it's really, really cute. And it seems really harmless, but it's not because they vote. And they really do believe that the Republican Party is trying to expose all of the, secret societies of cannibals and just they believe in this stuff. And I know no one wants to talk about it. I know we want it to all go away. I know that no one wants to. We've got to pay attention to it. We have to, because it's real, it's out there, and it's causing people to vote for Republicans. They really do believe that the Republican Party, especially Donald Trump, was going to expose all of these, things that have been hidden. We're all going to attain some secret knowledge. We're all going to ascend. They think that racism is just because you don't vibe high enough. You need to vibrate a little bit higher, and then you won't be susceptible to it. There's millions of these people out there, millions of them. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. So.
Hey, please stitch us and explain to me why white American women.
Here's the problem with you liberals. Why does that have to be about race or gender? Why can't it be that she votes in her own individual self-interest? Do you think that women don't have interests outside of their race or gender? Do you think that all women should just be a monolith who all think and act exactly the same? This is what's wrong with politics today, especially for those on the left. You can't see the individual. You don't recognize the individual. The only thing you see is the group identity. And you think every group has to think as a monolith. Once you grow up and you get past this group mentality and start seeing individuals, you'll do better.
Stitch us and explain to me why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Hi everybody, History Guy here. So one of my areas of study is called Whiteness Studies. And this is the kind of question we think about, so I'd like to offer my answer. And I have 3 things to offer. And sorry if I don't look my best, I tested positive for COVID Thursday morning. First, whiteness as an identity, albeit a fake one, demands that white people approve of things decent people normally wouldn't, and or ignore things that ought not be ignored. It demands that we prioritize our whiteness over all of our other interests, and most of us don't even realize it, or worse, we may consciously deny it. As any thinking person can see, there is privilege that comes with whiteness, something that many white people deny. But to be sure, we don't all get equal benefits from our membership to the White Club, but almost all of us defend it just the same. By the way, Du Bois called this the, quote, psychological wage. So, for example, white women will prioritize their whiteness over their gendered interests. Poor white men, for that matter, will prioritize their whiteness over their class interests. James Baldwin referred to this seeming absurdity as, quote, the price of the ticket. White women, to be sure, have been voting against their reproductive interests for many years. Indeed, the last 2 pro-choice candidates to win among white women were LBJ and President Clinton in 1996. Politically speaking, this isn't coincidence. The Republican Party recognized this tendency, and via the Southern strategy, has, since Nixon, been courting the white vote using thinly veiled, racialized dog whistle words and phrases. Secondly, and I'm not claiming the creator I stitched believes this, but I'd like to remind us that even though it is correct to frame white women voting Republican as voting with their whiteness. Voting Democrat does not necessarily indicate one is rejecting the demands of whiteness or transcending their whiteness. In other words, it ain't all rainbows and unicorns for the Democrats either. Third, and finally, I'd like to say, and this is somewhat anecdotal because I can't find precise data yet, but it seems this trend of voting against one's interest when whiteness demands it is less true among younger white people. It seems as if Gen Z and millennials saved our ass in the midterm elections and may have saved us from sliding into a kind of American fascism in the future. So maybe Gen Xers and boomers who make fun of safe spaces and trigger warnings and pronouns should thank them instead. That's it. Have a good day. I hope that helped. And if it did, be sure to like, follow, and share for more content like this.
Hey, please Stitches and explain to me why white American women...
Oh, that's easy. Because white women in America are in an abusive relationship with their government and don't even realize it. The United States of America has been abusing its women population for generations. Gaslighting them, stripping them of their rights, oppressing them. You see, some people, they just need to get punched in the face once and they will leave their abuser. They're like, nah, I'm good. And in the case of the United States, that would be our marginalized BIPOC and indigenous communities and the women who are voting in their own interest. Those that voted in favor of Republican policies and representation, they're probably going to take the full 7 tries before they wake up and realize that their government is abusing them, that they're being gaslit. Because these women, they believe when their government apologizes. They believe when our government shows up on our doorstep with flowers and candies saying it will never happen again. They believe that they can control the government if they just modify how they are, who they are, how they speak to their government. Or even worse, they believe their government when they tell them it's their fault. Look up any abusive relationship and replace the abuser with the United States government and replace the abused with white women. Before you come up in my comments all uppity, I'm not claiming that there are no other communities that have not been abused by the government. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that if you look at this scenario as though it were an abusive relationship, that is exactly what's happening. White women are in an abusive relationship with their government and they're just not ready to leave. And their support systems, in this case the BIPOC, marginalized and indigenous communities of the United States of America, are looking at them on the outskirts, screaming at them saying, he punched you in the eye, you're being abused, you should leave. He put you in the hospital, you should leave. He's gaslighting you and telling you that that shit is your fault. That's not right. You should leave. And we're just sitting there like, no, that was my fault. I shouldn't have talked back to him. No, that was definitely my fault. He's not a bad guy. He's not that bad. It's not that bad when everyone else with a pair of eyes can see that you are being abused. And unfortunately for the rest of the female population within the United States of America, that means that we will systemically lose our rights one by one until they each start to wake up and realize that they're being abused by their government.
To me why white American women choose their race over their gender.
This might be a little bit of a ramble, but I just want to go on a deep dive with all of this because this is the topic of conversation right now, and I want to talk about it because I'm really upset, because I'm a white woman, and again, white women have fucked up again. And I'll tell you why this keeps happening. Because if you go back to the very beginning of our country's inception, every single system in place has put white women in a very specific sector of the system to be utilized as a tool of oppression, to be utilized as a tool for dissemination, to be utilized as a tool for shame, among other things. And we have power in that. Even being oppressed within the patriarchy, we still are oppressors, and we're used as oppressors. We are the mad dogs of white men. That's our role. And in that power, there is comfort. There is safety in that power of being a tool of the oppressor. Not just being the oppressor itself, but being used. Because then it alleviates a little bit of responsibility for us as well. Because we're being used. It's not our fault, but it is. It is, because we actively participate in these things as well. So when you take all of this into mind, when you're thinking about the systematic building of the relationship of white women to white men in a system built around white men, and then the hierarchy of white men, then white women, then black men, then black women, then so on and so forth. However you want to break that down, might be a little bit different depending on where you are. But we will always be above a certain group of people based in this patriarchal, racist ass system. And there's power and comfort in that. And as you've seen various videos over the past couple of years, women saying, oh, this country just went downhill since women got the vote. Women saying that they would rather have low gas prices than autonomy. Because it's easier to think about something tangible, like filling your car up today, than thinking about your daughter or yourself having to go through an unbelievably horrifying situation that I won't bother, describing in detail. It's not tangible in the moment. And Americans have this thing, this short-sightedness, this 6-month memory or so that keeps us from remembering that we've done this before, that we've continued to do this. And again, it's that little bit of being able to shrug off the responsibilities because we're tools of the oppressor, but we have to remember that we are the oppressors too. We are 100% participating in this. So yeah, it's American is what it is.
White American women choose their race over their gender.
I'm in Texas. It's a very red state. A lot of these women would not be married if they were capable of independent political thought. They actively avoid information. They actively avoid the news. They're not going to go against their husband's opinion. They can't even fathom the thought that their husband could be wrong because they live in a world where the husband's head of the household. They probably don't respect him anyways. And so if that was the last straw, yeah, they're not going to do it. They have to keep on to their illusions. Their biggest illusion is that they're good people. And they keep that illusion by making sure they hear nobody else's narrative. The lack of empathy is startling here. It is startling. The abortion issue is just going to be like the heroin epidemic. Once little white girls start going to jail and passing away from these laws, then they'll be like, oh no, this is bad.
To me, why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Because white supremacy is a hell of a drug. Because in America, race trumps gender. Are there loads of nuances between race and gender? Obviously. But white women are simultaneously oppressed and protected by white supremacy. And those of them that are okay with the status quo aren't going to vote to remove that protection. There are always members of the oppressed that side with the oppressor. Choosing to stand up to white supremacy is not an easy thing to do. Is it the right thing? Absolutely. But when white women do it, it removes a layer of protection they've had their whole lives. And it can be uncomfortable and scary.
To me, why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Let me help you out. White women has been voting against their own interests. You know what fucking baffles me is that white women, I'm not going to say that they created feminism, but they was in feminism. When they realized that they have a little bit of power or blah, 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 they like that. And then they start the feminist movement, which from history, they didn't really start that. It was the black woman. But let me educate you on something, because white women at this point know who's in charge. They know for a fact that they would rather have a white misogynistic man than a black woman, because they know that black women are whites. Black women are strong. Black women cannot be controlled. Black women is going to make shit better. So since it's not them, they would rather vote against their own interests. Y'all saw those numbers? But 72, 75% voted against a black woman who's trying to help these, I'm not going to say what I want to say, help these women. They would rather have their own men in control because they feel like they have a little bit of control.
than progress. That's the reason why they did what they did. And for now, we don't trust them at all. You white women in Georgia, I hope you're ready for I hope you're ready for everything that's about to happen to you. You have no rights. You chose a Republican white man who's ready to take away your rights because you are a woman, and you know how white men look at their own women. Like you're not nothing. But y'all chose this. And do not fucking ask black women for anything. And for the Georgia black women, leave. Let these white women, like deal with what they created. Okay.
Just explain to me why white American women choose their race over.
Okay, so here are my thoughts, right? So the white supremacy and the patriarchy are two sides of the same coin. And a lot of white women have realized that, okay, they'll never really be at full privilege because they are women, but they can have more privilege than others because they are white. And so therefore they play into that. And it's the idea of them being the master's favorite, so to speak. And that also leads to internalized misogyny, where they turn on other women that are seeking to dismantle the system because they think they've got it figured out where they can have and maintain that privilege. And also, I think it's because white supremacy is so normalized in our culture in the US that it's not even viewed as white supremacy anymore. It's just viewed as normal. And so therefore, they don't realize that's why they're doing it. And there's a quote, and it was in The House of the Dragon. I actually thought it was really good. And it's like, you don't wish to be free of your prison. You wish to make a window in the wall of your prison. And that's what it is.
Hey, please stitch us and explain to me why white American women.
Okay, I've been here 9 years, 10 nearly. I have an opinion on this. It is white women. It is white women who have a certain level of affluence. Their husband's a good earner, a really good earner, and they think more about what they're getting from him than any other woman. It's very selfish, but it's a fact. And then the other white woman is their husband is uber religious and they're too frightened of him to run away. So it is a white woman problem, but it's a white woman affluence and a white woman religion problem. My wife and my daughters, they do whatever they want. I wouldn't even dream of trying to impose there. That would be very silly. Yeah, white women, money, Bibles. It's that simple.
Why white American women choose their race over their gender.
I have a couple different theories for this, but we're going to start with Stockholm Syndrome. After time, white women realize that if they don't play along with these things, that they just become targets within their own families. White women are not listened to, are not respected, and they are not valued within their home structures, especially those of us that were raised with inside of this conservative purity culture toxicity. And there's also a subgroup of white women who genuinely think that it's okay to have a master as long as they're the master's favorite. This is also why white women that vote this way hate white women like me, because I'm a direct reflection of somebody they weren't brave enough to become. The one good thing about the statistics is that younger white women with an education, white women like me, are voting liberal and progressively.
Explain to me why white American women choose their race over their gender.
The same reason why they stay with white men. They won't be superior. They won't be first. No one would care about just them. They would have to care about everybody else because they think they're going to have a pass. The same reason why all the white women are stitching this video just doing this, because they still won't stand up. They will be considered lower class. They would actually have to do with what everybody else have to do. They don't want to get in line. Then if they do get in line, they want somebody to hold their hand. They want somebody to explain and, get everything together. Think about it. Have you ever seen a white woman just get everything together and do everything herself? No. White women are the women who think that it's not going to happen to them. It can't be me. It won't be me. They're okay with it happening to everybody else. I'm going to pray for you.
Out of the, hundreds that do care, there are millions who don't.
To me, why white American women choose their race over their gender.
Tell me why so many people are shocked and surprised that white women did this. We already knew. Really? Y'all really shocked and surprised? Really? We've seen this before. They're only doing what they always have done. You really surprised? Why do you think so many black women didn't rally up and protest? We already knew. We already knew. You really surprised? Okay,